Namaste everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we are diving into a truly powerful and elegant concept in Spring Framework, Spring AOP, which stands for Aspect-Oriented Programming. This is an intermediate topic, but I promise to break it down into simple, understandable pieces for you. Have you ever wondered how to keep your code clean and modular, especially when dealing with tasks like logging, security, or transaction management that seem to appear everywhere? Well, Spring AOP is your answer. In this tutorial, we will understand what cross-cutting concerns are, grasp the core concepts of aspect, advice, point cut, and join point, and then build a practical logging aspect together. By the end of this video, you will have a solid foundation to start using Spring AOP in your own projects. Let us begin this exciting journey. Alright, let us start by understanding what Spring AOP actually is and why it is so important. Imagine you are building a large application. You will have core business logic, for example, handling user accounts or processing orders. But alongside this core logic, you also have tasks like logging every method call, checking user permissions for security, or ensuring database transactions are properly managed. These tasks, which are not part of your primary business logic, but are required across many different modules, are what we call cross-cutting concerns. Traditional object-oriented programming helps with modularity, but these concerns often cut across multiple objects, leading to duplicated code or scattering the logic. Spring AOP provides a way to modularize these cross-cutting concerns into reusable units called aspects, keeping your core business logic clean and focused. It improves modularity and maintainability significantly. Now, let us get a bit more specific and understand the key terminologies in Spring AOP. First, we have the join point. Think of a join point as a specific point during the execution of your program where an aspect can be plugged in. This could be a method execution, an exception handling, or even a field modification. In Spring AOP, the most common join point is method execution. Next, we have the point cut. A point cut is simply an expression that matches one or more join points. It tells our aspect exactly asterisk where asterisk to apply its logic. For example, a point cut might say, apply this aspect to all methods in the account service class. Finally, we have advice. Advice is the actual action that an aspect takes at a particular join point. It is the code that gets executed. There are different types of advice: before advice runs before a method, after advice runs after a method, around advice wraps a method, and so on. These three join point, point cut, and advice are the fundamental building blocks of Spring AOP. Great. With our theoretical understanding in place, let us jump into a practical example to see Spring AOP in action. We will create a simple logging aspect. Imagine we have an account service with deposit and withdraw methods. Instead of manually adding system.out.println statements in each method for logging, we will use Spring AOP. First, we will create our account service as a Spring AT service. Then, we will define a logging aspect class, annotating it with @aspect and @component so Spring can discover it. Inside the logging aspect, we will define a @pointcut expression to target all methods within our account service. Finally, we will write a @before advice that uses this pointcut. When our Spring Boot application runs and calls methods on account service, Spring AOP will automatically intercept these calls and execute our logging advice before the actual service method runs. This demonstrates how cleanly we can separate logging logic from business logic. While Spring AOP is powerful, there are a couple of common mistakes beginners often make. One significant pitfall is self-invocation. If a method within an service class calls another method within the same class the AOP advice might not be applied to the internally called method. This happens because Spring AOP uses proxies, and the internal call bypasses the proxy. To fix this, you might need to inject the service itself into the service or use AOP context.currentProxy. Another common mistake is forgetting to enable AOP proxying by not including @enablyspec.proxy in your main Spring Boot application class, which is crucial for Spring to activate aspect functionality. Always remember to make your pointcut expressions precise to avoid unintended advice application. Keep your aspects focused on a single cross-cutting concern for better maintainability. Excellent work, everyone. We have covered a lot about Spring AOP today. Let us quickly recap the key takeaways. We learned that Spring AOP helps us modularize cross-cutting concerns like logging and security, keeping our core business logic clean. We understood the core components, aspects for modularizing concerns, join points as execution points, pointcuts for matching join points, and advice for the actual actions. We also saw a practical example of how to implement a logging aspect using @aspect @pointcut and @before advice in a Spring Boot application. Remember to avoid common pitfalls like self-invocation and always enable aspect J auto proxy. Spring AOP is a fantastic tool for writing cleaner, more maintainable code. I encourage you to experiment with different types of advice and pointcut expressions. If you found this tutorial helpful, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and do not forget to subscribe to the channel for more Java and Spring programming content. Keep coding, and I will see you in the next video.